6:50, 10 before 7 with Mark Ed and Sergeant Sam.
James is calling from Bastrop. Hello, James. You're on KLBJ.
This Palin thing with the pork barrel spending, she was a governor, and the way I see it, we all pay federal taxes, and it's one of the jobs of the governor to bring as much money back into the state from the federal government as they can. So, when you talk about pork barrel spending, I think you're comparing apples to oranges on her, because as a governor, that's her job. I mean, don't y'all see it that way?
No, I absolutely
I don't see it that way either.
I'm sick of seeing money taken out of my check and wasted on garbage projects. She hired a lobbyist, James, when she was mayor in Wasilla, tied to Ted Stevens, and the money just started rolling in. For example, $15 million to build a railroad spur from her town to Stevens' home out in the sticks. You shouldn't pay for that. That's ridiculous.
That's your tax money.
Right. But as a governor, isn't that part of their job to bring back as much money no matter what it's for?
No, it's not necessarily. You try to bring industry, but you don't try to get everything you can from Washington, D.C., no.
Right, but then once you get to Washington, isn't it the job of the president to oversee that isn't given out?
No, that's Congress that does that.
No, it's called veto.
Congress.
Yeah, you can stop that.
But very few will do that.
That's exactly right.
Right.
Every city in the country has a lobbyist. Every city in the country has what they call grant writers.
No, not every city in the country has a lobbyist,
Of any size at all, they do.
Well, still is 6,000. I dare say not any 6,000 population towns in Texas have a Washington
that's
lobbyist.
That's considered a big city in Alaska. You got to consider the size and the population. That is a fairly large city.
So bottom line, James, you think she's getting a bum rap in some of the coverage?
Well, I just personally think that, it's the governor's job to bring as much revenue back into the state, be it industry or be it federal funding, because, everybody that sits up in the Capitol does pork barrel.
All right, James, have a good day. Thank you. Leave it in Texas in the first place. Leave it in Texas in the first place.
Right.
Leave the vast majority of it in the hands of the people who make it. And that's the way we ought to do it.
And if you're going to send it up there and start doling it out, get it to the percentage of the people who sent it up there.
This is the Washington Post this morning. Alaska Governor Sarah Palin has billed taxpayers for 312 nights spent in her own home during her first 19 months in office. She's charging a per diem allowance intended to cover meals and incidental expenses while traveling on state business. This is all legal, according to the Washington Post article. But she would stay in her home in Wasilla, Alaska. Juneau is the capital, about 600 miles away. And she collected roughly $16,000 to recover expenses for staying in her own home. She also charged the state for travel expenses for some of her children and her husband. That totals about $97,000 last year.
Right, taking her family with her when she went to Juneau?
Yeah, or on other official business trips, yes. Taking her kids with her. So she would charge the taxpayers to cover those expenses.
Well, look at Pelosi. She has her own personal jet. She takes all type of entourages
Doesn't make that
her.
right, though, Sam.
Well,
doesn't make one, doesn't make the other right. Pelosi has that jet, and that's Goofy, her own jet, to go from San Francisco to Washington.
Yeah,
she
and
should
the one
be
that goes
flying commercial.
Remember, she
should be flying commercial.
Palin spent far less on travel than her predecessor. She billed the state $93,000. He billed the state $463,000. That's Frank Murkowski. 6:54. Traffic next on KLBJ.